Planned Parenthood released its annual report days ago, and we now know the company performed more than 82 abortions for every one adoption referral. Planned Parenthood performed 321,384 abortions from 2016 to 2017. Adoption referrals numbered at 3,889, according to their reporting. Planned Parenthood's annual report comes on the heels of an FBI investigation into the nation's largest abortion provider, and also news that 32 Planned Parenthood clinics closed down in 2017. That's according to American Life League's annual Planned Parenthood facilities report. To delve more into all of this, we're joined by someone who knows the ins and outs of Planned Parenthood's business well. Abby Johnson is a former Planned Parenthood clinic director, but now a Catholic convert and pro-life advocate. Abby is the founder of And Then There Were None, a group that seeks to end abortion from the inside out. She joins us as she's traveling around Austin, Texas, doing her pro-life work. Abby, thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
First off, Planned Parenthood's annual report for 2016 to 2017 was just released days ago. Why is this information so important to the pro-life movement?
Well, I think it's important for us as we're talking to people about Planned Parenthood, as we're sort of brushing up on our apologetics regarding Planned Parenthood, that we know the exact services that they're providing. So we continue to see, these services that they tout as their most important. So family planning services, annual exams, cancer screenings, all of these things that they talk about. We continue to see those numbers plummet year after year. And the only thing that is on the rise is abortion. And so as people talk to us about, well, it's only 3% of what they do, or, they provide all of these much needed services. It's really important that we're able to look at the real numbers and to say, well, let me show you what's actually happening at Planned Parenthood from their own report.
You made an interesting point right there, as you made in a video ahead of the report's release, that since Cecile Richards became president of Planned Parenthood in 2006, and you worked with Cecile, all services have declined except for abortion.
Yeah, that's what's really interesting. So we hear all the time about how if women don't have access to Planned Parenthood, they don't have access to annual exams, breast exams, cervical cancer screenings, all of these things. And but what we see actually is that those services aren't really a priority to Planned Parenthood, even though they say this is why they're open and they say this is why their services are so important. We're really not seeing that reflected in their numbers. The only thing that we're seeing, like I said, on the rise are abortion services.
You say Planned Parenthood has the incentive actually to promote abortion, even though they claim they are pro-choice, because there are abortion quotas in the clinic. What more can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so each service inside of a Planned Parenthood facility has a quota. So you have a quota for family planning, you have a quota for a certain amount of annual exams you want to provide, but also you have a quota for abortions. And that tells you how much money you're going to be able to bring in each month and throughout the year. And so you want to be able to meet those quotas. Otherwise, if you don't, you have to start laying staff off. And so it's just another line item in their budget, and it's just part of their business plan.
Abby, how do you respond when people claim Planned Parenthood is for women's health and to be against Planned Parenthood is to be against women?
Well, I certainly am a proponent of women's health care. I am a woman, so that's important to me. But I also know that the reality is that there are tens of thousands of other providers across the country that can provide more substantial and more comprehensive health care to women in their times of need. We don't need Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood clinics are closing across the country at a rapid rate every year. We don't need their organization. And even what we see in Texas here is that we have over 5,000 providers that will see low-income women. We have fewer than 50 Planned Parenthood clinics in Texas. So we really don't need the services that they're providing because we can receive those services from other more competent providers.
Abby Johnson, CEO and founder of And Then There Were None. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
We're going to stay on the topic of Planned Parenthood's abortion business, but with our next guest, shift to what it means for the pro-life strategy in 2018. What steps should we take this year to build up a culture of life? Mallory Quigley is Communications Director for the Susan B. Anthony List. Mallory, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Catherine.
Thanks for being with us. What did you make of what Abby just had to say and of Planned Parenthood's newly released report?
Sure. Well, Abby's completely right that women don't need Planned Parenthood and that they really cannot claim this mantle of women's healthcare provider when their cancer screening and prevention services have declined very steadily over the last several years. Even their contraception services are declining. The only thing that's really not going down in large numbers is abortion. That is clearly their bread and butter. They are a profit-driven, abortion-centered business, and it is about time that we defund them. I mean, the new report shows that women are in fact actually turning away. The clinics are closing. Their overall services are dropping. They do 30% of this nation's market share of abortions. It's really what they're all about, and there's no getting around that.
It's the start of a new year. How much of a priority is defunding Planned Parenthood?
Well, it's certainly a top priority for the pro-life movement and for the president. We know Congress is trying to do their part, but it is going to be difficult to do this legislatively given the vote count that we have now, particularly in the Senate. So there are certain things that the Trump administration can do, and in fact the ball's already begun rolling for them to limit Planned Parenthood's funding administratively. For example, Governor McMaster from South Carolina, he has requested new guidelines from the Trump administration about their Medicaid funding for Planned Parenthood. Medicaid is Planned Parenthood's largest source of taxpayer dollars. It's $400 million a year. And so these new guidelines, if the Trump administration would announce them, I think that it's likely that they will, would mean that the states now have the ability to defund Planned Parenthood through Medicaid. They already have this ability through Title X funding, but Medicaid is really the largest source of funding.
And make a big impact. One piece of legislation we've been following closely at the end of last year is the spending bill and keeping the pro-life provisions in. What's the status there?
That's right. So yes, at the end of December, they passed a spending bill that gets us through to January 19th. That is the new deadline, so we need everyone to stay engaged as Congress is working on a new deal now for a spending bill that will take us through to the end of the year. And although they're a little bit slow getting off the ground this week, you know, after the holiday, we've already been reiterating our pro-life message to every Hill office to say that you cannot pass an appropriations bill that includes a bailout for the Affordable Care Act without the Hyde protections. So we need everyone to stay engaged at least through January 19th on this particular battle.
What else do you have your eyes on as we begin this new year?
Well, certainly a huge priority for Susan B. Anthony List and the pro-life movement and President Trump is passing that pain-capable bill, the Pain-Capable Unborn Child Protection Act, to stop late-term abortions after 5 months. And so we had a successful House vote last year, and now we need the Senate to take the next step. So we're expecting a vote on that early in the new year.
A lot of goals and a lot of hope right now as we begin this new year. Mallory, stick with us for this next story right now. We now know the confirmed speakers for the upcoming 45th annual March for Life. Speakers taking the stage at the noon rally on DC's National Mall will include Pam Tebow, the mother of NFL and MLB superstar Tim Tebow, Matt Burke, a former NFL player, U.S. Representative Chris Smith, a Republican from New Jersey, and U.S. Representative Dan Lipinski, a Democrat from Illinois. Another confirmed speaker includes Sister of Life's own Sister Bethany Madonna. The March for Life is on Friday, January 19th, and you can watch EWTN for complete coverage. Mallory, the March for Life is such a big deal for the pro-life movement. It's a big day. For marchers who are coming up here, how can they promote and push pro-life legislation?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the legislative element of this is key. And so if people are making the trek to Washington, D.C., I hope that they will make an appointment to go see their legislators or just show up right after the march kind of ends very perfectly for you to be able to go over to Congress and lobby your legislators on the Pain-Capable bill, on defunding Planned Parenthood. It's so important that they hear directly from their constituents. They know that we come all the way to Washington to meet them and talk about this very important issue.
And it's right around the corner. Mallory Quigley, thanks for being with us.
My pleasure.